right, welcome to All Things Odd. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, and Dr. Hannah Galloway had her baby. So Finn is now about, a week and a half old. She had Finn on Labor Day. So for those of you tuning in, I'm trying to get this out to our odd boss, but I'm having a hard time here. So I'm going to see if I can kind of get this out here. But here we go. Feel like I haven't done this forever. Here we go. We're going to get some odd bosses in here because we have a special guest today. He is the odd boss and my dear friend and colleague, and I'm going to bring him in. But we are having Dr. Amit Gosalia. Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Awesome.
So excited to be here.
So I'm so glad that you're here with me today. And you know, what's funny is I know that you have a couple of interviews today. Hopefully I'm like the best interview and the most fun. And you can lie to me if you want.
Save the best for last.
Awesome.
So this is the last one today. Yes.
So super excited about what we're going to talk about today. We'll see if we can kind of get some other people in here and get it shared out. I think that I'm super interested in hearing where we are in the world of audiology and odd bosses. And so with that, we're going to kind of dive right in here. And, you know, odd boss has been around for a while, right? And, oh, by the way, I forgot to do a reveal. Hold on. Drum roll, please. Oh my gosh. Dun, 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 dun. I had to button this up because I was trying not to.
She's taking her clothes off. Oh, yes.
My AudBoss shirt. It literally just came in today. So I was like, I am so putting this on for the show today. But I was trying to cover it while we were talking because I was like, it has to be like a reveal. So my awesome AudBoss shirt is here. I cannot wait. I'm going to sport it at the upcoming AudBoss Summit. But before we get to all the good stuff about the summit coming up, we're going to talk about, gosh, what the heck is AudBoss? And when did it begin? And how did it begin? And I know that you've got a cohort, hopefully tuning in as well. But talk to me a little bit more about where this idea came from.
Yeah, you know, I'm still kind of smiling because you unbuttoned your jacket. I was like, if I unbutton my white shirt, it's not going to be the same thing. And I'm such a bad marketer. I should have worn my AudBoss shirt.
Hello, come on.
Yes, you're so good at this. I'm sucky at it. So yeah, back in 2018, I was up at a Starkey event in Eden Prairie, and this young lady approached me and said, you know, I want to create a space where we could have like private practice owners get together, share ideas, you know, talk about what works in their practices, what doesn't work, maybe even commiserate about our staff without them seeing it on some of these other pages. And so she created AudBoss, and her name is April Royan. And at the time, she was a private practice owner down in Naples, Florida, with 3 very successful locations. Now, if you know Naples, Florida, it is the highest congested hearing aid market in the world, actually. And they were crushing it down there. So she started the page. I was involved with Audiology Happy Hour and a couple of other pages. And so, you know, I kind of delayed a little bit. She asked me, hey, would you admin or moderate this with me? And I delayed for a while. And then finally I said, okay, I'll do it with you. And I think it was the smartest decision I ever made because it's so relevant to the stuff we do on a day-to-day basis out here in private practice. So the page is full, almost up to 1,000 members now. And every person on there is either a private practice owner, a private practice owner partner. I don't think we have any practice managers on there at this point. I think it's really just owners. And, you know, owners retire or they sell their practices. And at some point we move them out of the page as well. So we try to keep it as strict as we can in terms of who can be on the page.
So, okay. So Facebook group started, right?
Yep.
And you guys talked about it, and I totally agree. I think that it's such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom.
Yep.
And I'm going to play the devil's advocate and just make like I don't know about it because I want to really get out what AudBoss is all about. But why is independent practice like so important? Why is it so important to kind of get together, collaborate, and be a part of, you know, a different part of audiology, right? So what's so important about really getting these people together? First,
it really comes down to just collegiality, right? And just getting everyone together, because I think there's a lot of islands. There's a lot of people who are just independent practitioners. They're just in their own office. They have no one to rely on to kind of talk about ideas. For example, here it's Dr. Jane Rosner and I, so at least we can kind of bounce ideas off each other. But there's so many just sole providers, and some don't even have staff. It's just them in an office by themselves. So who do they talk to? Who do they lean on to get ideas? And then also on the other side, like, who do you complain to, right? So of course, some of us need places to or someone to kind of be a sounding board for us. So it's kind of been a nice place for owners to be able to kind of talk to each other. And I can tell you that we've come up with so many different things. I can't even pinpoint many of them at this point as we're talking, but strategic ideas to help practices grow. We've helped practices who, some audiologists or providers who are at the tail end of their career and they want to move forward on selling their practice. We've helped them with helped as in, giving them tools to be able to use to sell their practices. We've helped with marketing stuff. People have been sharing letters they send out to their patients. People have been sharing ads. Third-party payers, if you participate in those, a lot of people have been sharing ideas on the AudBoss page. And the beauty of it is that, I'm not saying that we're on there just bad-mouthing companies, but if you have a complaint about a company, usually that company won't know, and then some of us can get on there and give some perspective and maybe help solve those issues. So it's been a really good place for those people who need someone to kind of talk to be on that page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And it started as a page, right? But you had decided to create some meeting spaces and some experiences for us to all get together. And what's cool about it is, even though it's independent practice owners, it's not just, it's all kinds. It's even independent practice owners that have their own practice within maybe a clinic or a hospital as well, or they have multiple, practices. And so we're able to learn from each other. But, started it as a Facebook page. And what made you decide to think, okay, with all of the other types of organizations that we have out there, like, really, like, why do we need another audiology meeting? Like, why?
Yeah, we don't have enough audiology meetings as it is, right? So, and this is funny because all the questions you're asking me is basically my whole intro in 2 weeks at AudBoss. So hopefully watching will just, yes, I'll get my practice in. So, the reality is that in late 2018, early 2019, people were on the Facebook page talking about getting together physically to be able to talk to each other kind of face to face and just be together. And so at first, April and I were talking, we said, well, why don't we just create like an event where we can all just get together, almost like a retreat. And just based on the numbers that we saw, we were expecting like 20 or 25 people to show up. And so I asked April, I said, so where are we going to do this? And I kid you not, she said, in my backyard. Now, as any normal human being, I went on Google Maps, I searched her house, I satellite imaged, I zoomed in, even street viewed her house. And I was like, okay, maybe this could work.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's very stockish of me, but I had to find out. I mean, how are we going to get 25 people in someone's backyard? Well, it's a nice house. So luckily, I guess, we had over 50 people sign up like right away. And so we had to get a space. So we had the Hilton Naples, and eventually it just kept growing and growing and growing. It was kind of funny. We kept telling the hotel, okay, now we're up to like 75. So let's do 75 tables or 75 seats. And then it got to 100, and then it got to like 110. And then it just kept creeping up. And finally we just said, okay, we need to cap this at 150 and no more. And so we capped it at like 150, and we were at like 140 or so. And it just, we ended up at 150 finally, because we ended up getting a couple sponsors in at the last second, because we oversold a little bit in the sense that we spent so much money on the event. So we had to get some sponsors involved. So we had 9 or 10 people there from sponsors. And so we had 150 people, and we rented a yacht. As you know, you were there. We rented a yacht. We went out into a little sunset deal that was awesome. We rented those trolleys, those open air trolleys to go down, and rented a 4-star restaurant right in Naples. It was, we spent a lot of money to make it a very high quality event. But to the point of your question, another audiology meeting. However, we don't have any meetings that are very specific to private practice. And so we started this as, hey, I'm a big ADA and AAA fan. I won't mention the third. I'm just a fan of ADA and AAA, and state associations as well. But you have to cater to all audiologists when you have a national organization or a state
True.
organization. You can't just have all talks about private practice. Even the private practice tracks at AAA, you might get 4 or 5 classes out of a whole weekend, but they're still pretty generic. And so, excuse me. So what we decided to do is to really focus on the core things related to private practice, which can be marketing, it could be operational, it could be equipment stuff, it could be processes and procedures, it could be HR, it could be any of these things, and really find the experts like yourself and a few others to really get up on stage and talk to us about what are the things that we should be doing. For example, TikTok. Now, I'm on TikTok. It's one of the things that I love to just waste my time, not even spend, really waste my time. And I'm like constantly scrolling through, and next thing I know, an hour's gone by. In the very beginning, I didn't realize that that could be a tool. Even though Gary V was saying it from the very beginning, like, oh, this is going to be an educational play. I didn't think about that. Now I'm all in. I will actually search for things on TikTok instead of Google sometimes, because you can actually learn from people that have actually done things. Now, I wouldn't have known that if we didn't have somebody, one of our odd bosses get up and talk about TikTok and why it's important to be able to use that avenue for social media. So that's something that I know at ADA we had somebody talk about. Crystal Dvorak actually talked about TikTok, but she talked about it in one way, and we talk about social media and marketing in maybe another way, because in private practice, as you know, we are very focused on, number one, I think we have to provide the highest level of patient care in private practice. And the reason why I say that very confidently is because if we don't take care of our patients, our businesses will fail. So we have to do the best job. You can have a salaried position in a hospital, work 9 to 5 and go home. And if your patient care is so, you still have your job the next day. There's still a department. Whereas in private practice, our revenue is based on taking care of our patients. And I think that's why this conference ended up becoming so important and so valuable. And hopefully everyone else that's watching or attends agrees with that.
Yeah, and I agree too. And I mean, just there's something about getting people together. It's taking that connection a little bit further from just being on Facebook, right? Where we can kind of support each other there. But now, like even your side conversations that you have when we're on the boat or when, we're kind of standing around, it takes it to another level, right? And you make those connections. So that way it's kind of like, hey, I have a problem and I'm just going to reach out to one of these odd bosses here, or putting it out there. But it really takes that connection and that relationship to another level. And, which kind of, I'm going to put up our next question, but it kind of takes us to this next question, right? When and where was the first AudBoss Summit? And you said it was in April's backyard in Naples, which is crazy. And it's crazy to think that you thought you were only going to get 25 people and you ended up getting 150. And I remember that first summit. Like I remember it, everybody was so excited and we had so much fun. And then you think, okay, so that was like the best. And then all these people had FOMO, right? Like, oh my gosh, I need to be there. Like, what are they doing? What are they talking about? Yeah. And I have to say, before I get excited about, the next couple of locations, that it really does help, right? I mean, even I was lucky to be able to attend. I did have ownership of businesses, not necessarily audiology, but I was still kind of going through that. And, fortunately was able to even speak on stage. But it wasn't until, my gosh, even the last year. So we had Naples, right? Then we went to Denver next, right? Was Denver next? Yep. Okay, so Denver was fun. And then we were going to go on a cruise, which got canceled, but we had an amazing time in Miami. Yes. And then we'll save the last, the fourth year here coming up. But what was interesting is that, we were all super excited to be there on the cruise together. And Miami was pivotal for me, because it was when Dr. Galloway and I literally walked away and started our own practice. Gosh, it was in October. It was like a month we were out of there. We were just starting to build up everything. And so it was so meaningful for many reasons. Number one, super collaborative, and the support we got, it brought me to tears just thinking about all the bosses that were encouraging us and to say, no, we've got this, we've got that, we can help you here, we can help you there. So you've got the collaborative type of thing with a lot of our colleagues. Then you had the courses that we really needed to hear, the vendors that we really needed, and there was so much just kind of dumping into our pocket. It didn't feel overwhelming, but it very much felt oh my gosh, we did the right thing. This is awesome. We're getting all the support and love and encouragement. And now we have all the resources. And
Right.
so, for us, attending Miami was huge because of the odd bosses, because of the culture that was already cultivated, right, leading up to Miami, and the vendors and the people that were there that just said, oh, by the way, you need this. And Dr. Galloway and I were always thinking, what? Oh, that's another thing we need. It's just like you don't have this checklist. So it was really helpful, even though I had some business sense and some ownership of some things. It wasn't an audiology practice. And yes, we know how to see patients, but when it becomes your own, it was so different. Like I'm excited to come to this next one coming up in, oh my gosh, like 2 weeks. Are we 2 weeks or 3 weeks out? Like two and a half. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I'm super excited because as you continue to have a practice, new things come on, right? And
Yep.
then now we've got almost a year under our belt, right? And so there's new things that are coming on. There's new topics all the time that you're trying to reach out to people who have done it before
Yep.
and are willing to kind of advise and give you some guidance. So super helpful. I can from firsthand, tell people how amazing this community is that you guys have built. So super cool.
Yeah, 2019 was fun, and then of course we wanted to replicate it, right? So 2020, I mean, what could go wrong? Of course, the pandemic could go wrong, but it was what was crazy is how many people still wanted to go to Denver.
Mhm.
And so we talked to the city of Denver, we talked to the state of Colorado, we talked to the hotel, of course, and they said if you have up to 75 people, it'll be okay. Of course, we're like, well, heck, we don't know how many people really want to come, but we better just put it out there and cap it at 75. And it was like we were all rebels because nobody was doing conferences during the pandemic. I mean, we got there and it was kind of a weird feeling in the beginning, but the bonds I think we all made for,
Mhm.
being there was crazy. And then of course the cruise, I'm going to be saying this in 2 weeks again. They just kept squeezing us and squeezing us and squeezing us that, hey, vaccinated people can be in the room, but unvaccinated can't. So then once we go in there and clean it out, and then the unvaccinated people can get on, and then you can do your talk again. We're like, well, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
So it just got tighter and tighter, and finally they canceled the conference, and we got very lucky with Miami
Mhm.
Beach because Miami Beach in the pandemic, they were open. They had low COVID cases somehow. Maybe it's the humidity, but they were open. So
Mhm.
every hotel was like jam packed. And so we started looking at, because we knew a lot of people were flying into Miami for the cruise. So we started, I mean, as absurd as it sounds, we were like, okay, well, if we can find a hotel as a pool, because we couldn't find a conference center, we'll just pack everybody in the pool area and then put a screen above the deep end. And that's where we'll do our, I mean, we had to think of something. And look, I mean, just the clouds opened up and the confidant called saying, hey, we had a cancellation. So it was just and we put everything together in 1 month. And as much as I'd like to take even a portion of that credit, I mean, it all goes to April. I mean, she was working her ass off, her butt off for that month to do a year's worth of,
Mhm.
in like 4 weeks. And so we managed it. And this
Mhm.
year, which we'll announce here in a moment, I guess, we're much more prepared, and we
Mhm.
have no issues, no monkeypox issues, no COVID issues, no, anything. It's going to be very,
I'm
very,
knocking on wood.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, please. Oh, any wood you can find, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super excited. Okay. So we are going to talk about, my gosh, coming up in a couple weeks here. So
Yep.
what's fun about this is, I want to know from you, like what has evolved and what has changed. And, as you started doing these summits, because this is
Yep.
going to be your fourth summit,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I know that, my gosh, was it? Yeah, it was Naples where we had the fun. I think David DeCreek brought these hats, right? That
Yes.
had oddballs
Yes.
with these muscles on it. Like
Yes.
every year has something that has evolved or added. Denver was fun. Even though we were spaced out, we still had a lot of fun there. You guys ramped it up with some of the different themed parties last year,
Yeah.
in Miami. That was a lot of fun. And again, super collaborative and fun. And so, how in your mind has it evolved from where you imagined it, from the first year to now what's coming up to your fourth year?
Yeah, I think we had a group that did Breakfast Club or something. I don't know. It was kind of a weird thing that people
That was
did.
awesome. That group was
Was it
so
awesome?
amazing.
Were they? Okay. I think you were part of that group. Yes. The interesting thing is I've always wanted to put a conference on. So even back when we started planning this, I was already planning something in California for private practice. And so when the idea came up to do a conference, it was like, okay, well, I don't have any conference, putting on conference or event planning experience. I know I can throw a party at a nightclub or a bar or something and everyone has a good time and then off we go. But the planning part of it, that's where April's strengths, amongst all of her strengths, really shines, because she knows she can get down into the details and know exactly what we need to pay for and what we don't need to pay for, where I'm just one of those people that let's just spend everywhere. What has evolved is, number one, we don't have membership dues to be part of AudBoss. So we don't have the luxury of, subsidizing the costs of the conference with membership dues and then keeping the cost really low. So what we've had to do is we've had to add some sponsors. So in 2019, we had 4 sponsors. In 2020, I can't remember the numbers, so I won't try to quote them, but we had more. And then in Miami Beach, we had even more. And then this year we have even more. But we have to limit it, because the reality is, if we have an expo floor, we are very sensitive about our sponsors as well. They're investing time, money, and energy in being there, investing in AudBoss and everyone there. We want to make it worth it for them. And I'm very, very conscious about that, because it worries me every year that, I hope they're getting value for being here. And I think it's working out really well, because this year we have a waiting list of 8 or 9 sponsors who wanted to come, but we just said, we don't have any more space.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be the way that we're going to move forward, is probably every year we're just going to cap it at a certain number of sponsors. And we're also going to cap the number of attendees. This isn't going to be one of those 1,000 attendee type conferences. And I know business wise, you would think, okay, let's scale this to, 1,000, 2,000 attendees. But the reality is the quaintness of having only, 200 to 300 people at the conference. And this year, I think we have 310, 312.
Wow.
So it's like, it's going to be a big group, but it's still going to have kind of that nice, small kind of quaint feel, I think. Hopefully it feels that way. The event space is big, right? So, to your question, so I guess we can announce it's right over my shoulder here, somewhere there it is. It's Anaheim, California. We're actually doing the conference something different, right? So we try to do something different every year. This year, we're not even doing it at a hotel. We rented out the House of Blues in Anaheim. So talk about like a concert venue. It's going to be fun. Every year, I always throw in some music. We always do something fun when we do our entrance. I have something planned this year. I just thought of something yesterday, which I'm not going to do, which was like, maybe I should get some hammer pants on and do the little hammer dance as I come on stage, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on.
I've already said it, so I can't
do it.
So.
Okay, if you're an AudBoss and you are tuning in, because this is shared in the AudBoss group, if you want Dr. Amit Gosalia to come in with some MC Hammer pants, I think they were called Cavaricis. Like, I'm old enough, right? So Cavaricis, right? Or somewhat, right? Like and come in and do the hammer dance and do the little shuffle. Comment below, and we can get him to get going on that, because I think that would definitely get him.
Why do I even open my mouth? I don't know. Sometimes I should just
keep opening your mouth. Yep.
I'm not saying anything more. Any other surprises? No other surprises are there. It's going to be a very tame, boring event. Of course, I'm kidding. We do have a lot of fun things planned. We have a keynote speaker this year, which we actually paid for, which we've never done that before. And I can announce it because I think we've already publicized it. But there's an organization called the Entree Leadership Group. They're based out of Tennessee, and Entree Leadership is run by Dave Ramsey. And if you know Dave Ramsey, he's a financial guru, internationally known. They have podcasts and books and all kinds of stuff, all about businesses and finances. And I think you were part of this too, Natalie. 30 of us went to the Entree Leadership Summit last year virtually. And you and I both got shout outs, which was pretty cool by the hosts. However, it was so impactful. I was like, okay, we have to find one of these speakers from this group and bring them to AudBoss. And so we were looking at different people, and it was just kind of hard to get in touch with the right people. And then we looked at somebody else outside of their group, and then just would luck have it that Tucker Worcester, who's one of the co-founders of HereWorks, said, oh, I know Dr. John Deloney. And Dr. John Deloney, he's a psychologist by trade. He's one of the speakers, and he's got his own podcast and his own books. And sure enough, we started having communications, and it worked out. So he's going to be our keynote speaker, and he'll be speaking Tuesday evening at the AudBoss Summit. And I've already spoken to him. He is unbelievable. He's going to knock your socks off. He's so cool and so like down to earth. I think everyone's going to enjoy him. Everyone's really going to enjoy him.
I totally remember him, and I'm so excited to be able to hear him in person. Yeah, so that's awesome.
I see Dr. Frindner has commented, and I'm going to just tell her, no, you can shut it up now, Dr. Frindner.
Okay, so we got one vote. Okay, so I think that if we can get like at least 5 or more, how about that you'll be able to do the MC Hammer dance. So we've got 1. I'm going to comment below 2, and then we'll get 2, and then we'll try to get a lot more people.
Yours doesn't count.
Oh, come on.
So,
come on. All right. So super excited.
One more surprise. Sorry to cut you off. So we are also doing a couple of parties, right? So we have 3 big sponsors. Starkey has been a huge sponsor, and I'll be talking about this again at the AudBoss Summit. But back in 2019, when we had overspent, we actually went to a bunch of industry partners and said, "Hey, would you like to sponsor?" Yeah, we have no history in this. Oh gosh, Ashley, come on. Just stay in Alaska. You don't have to come down. You don't have to come. I'm not dancing with anyone. But Starkey, without hesitation, said yes, we'll sponsor. And the reason why was, of course, number 1, they're fantastic. Number 2 is they really support independent private practice. So we really appreciate Starkey's involvement. The second night, we're doing our party at Disney, at California Adventure. So we have a Disney party, which of course is expensive, very, very expensive. And T-Mobile Accessibility is sponsoring in part for that. So that's going to be a nice little fun time, going over to Disneyland. And then, of course, our closing party, which the reason why we're talking about MC Hammer is because we have our 90s theme. Last year, we did an 80s theme. That's why I brought up the Breakfast Club story. So we have a 90s theme this year, which is kind of a fun little themed party. And HearWorks is a sponsor for that. So, there's going to be all kinds of surprises there. Oh, look at that. That's Emily and
wait, but they have 2 kids too. So technically, Ashley, that's like 4, because I'm sure CG would like to see Uncle Amit dance as well, right?
But why? Yes, is you have to be 21 and over for all the
events. No rules. There's no rules. No rules. Yes, I'm super excited for the 90s party. I feel like we get earlier and earlier planning out the costume. Like we literally had these talks and would definitely try to get what costume are we going to do, group one, so lots of different planning. So I know that with every year it's fun because we you guys announce the next place that we're going to go, right? At the end of AudBoss. And then, time goes on and we implement things that we're supposed to be learning, right? When we get back to our offices. And then the buzz starts, right? With the party and then the costumes. And so, again, the one thing that I do love too is that the people that aren't able to make it for various reasons, the one thing that you do that I don't think a lot of places do that hold audiology conferences is you offer an awesome virtual option, right? And so as the speakers are up there on stage live for the people that are there, they get recorded. And so they get put in a portal. It's super easy to access. The portal is easy to maneuver. And then you're able to still get your CEUs and you get to experience, what we got to all experience live. And it's the same exact talk, right? So it's not like these speakers have to do it again, but you're giving that virtual option for people who are not able to make it for various reasons. And that's huge. That's really huge. And you have a lot of virtual attendees as well, right? So during the COVID part where you had to shift a little bit, that became something that was very, very useful. And then because of that, and you were able to get an early adoption of really getting this virtual option going, it has improved and it continues to improve for the user, the experience, right? So that's really big. So those of you who, I know that it's all sold out virtually as well, correct?
We're not sold out virtually. Virtually, we can actually add as many people as we want, but we have hundreds.
Okay. So if you're hearing this, I was thinking it wasn't sold out, but if you're hearing this and you're like, man, I was thinking about this, don't forget there's a virtual option. So just because the in-person is sold out, then don't forget that you have the virtual option that you can still sign up for and be part of it. Get your CEUs, get access to a lot of these different speakers that you guys have an amazing lineup. I cannot wait for some of these speakers too. And I love how you rotate through different people so that we can continue to learn from different people, right? And so I'm really excited for this year's speakers because they're different, right? And they haven't been there yet, and we're going to learn so much from them too. So that is super awesome as well.
Yeah, we usually will have one or two that might be repeating. I know that you were on twice in a row in Naples and Denver, and you said you were fortunate to speak. We're fortunate that you spoke. So we appreciate you being there. We're trying hard to keep it fresh. And, you know, it's something that we get asked every year, like, oh, that person spoke last year. And we're like, oh, yeah, but, you know, there's certain spots, you know, we do have sponsors who get the opportunity to speak. And unfortunately, the speaker ends up being the same person, or fortunately, sometimes they're really good. So, and they're all good, excuse me. So the great thing is that we're trying to keep it fresh. You know, next year we'll probably maybe go back to our roots a little bit in terms of who spoke at the first one, and maybe get, you know, some people, wink, wink, to speak next year and go over some, you know, new things that are going on in the profession. And we've also expanded quite a bit. It's, even though we're a private practice summit, we're also sharing content that's just relevant in audiology. I think there's a couple of talks this year that are, you know, it's not how do you make more money in your practice. It's, hey, you should also know this information as a provider in your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. So a couple of things to remind people of. Number one, there is a Facebook group that has close to 1,000 or over 1,000 people in there, right? Yeah. So join the Facebook group. I'll come back here and post the link here to join the Facebook group. Get your gear. Look, I have my AudBoss shirt on. I might just leave it on for the rest of the day. I don't really care. Like, I run this private practice, so I might just leave it on. But get your gear, whether you are attending, whether you're not attending. Like, be proud. You know, I know that Dr. Galloway, we went and did all the stuff. So before I was like, well, I'm not really a boss. Like, you know, I am, but I'm not. And so I didn't really get the gear. And then I got into Miami, and it meant so much. And then April started dropping the OG, you know, designs, and kind of coming back because there was requests, which made Hannah and I super happy. And she's at home thinking, I'm going to go back and get all of them. I said, yeah, me too. Yes. I said, let's go get all of them. So we did. So this one just came in the mail today. I'm waiting for the other one. There's another one that we have too. But go ahead and support and get the gear to be able to either sport it at a conference. It doesn't even have to be an AudBoss conference. Like, we do some other fun stuff, right? But get your gear, support AudBoss that way. Get in that Facebook group. There's this still floors me. It's so funny. So April did an amazing job doing a map and directory, right, of all the AudBosses out there. And it still never fails that people are like, I need an AudBoss in this area that can do this. So if you are not listed on that directory, reach out and get listed on that directory so it's as comprehensive as possible. Use that directory, like, share it for people to be able to use, because it was created, and it is, instead of, you know, maybe going on to a group saying, I need somebody in this area, like, go check that out, because those are the people that are on there now are the people that want to be seen and found and will help people out. And so if you're not on there and you are that person I just described, get your butt over there to that directory, get to that contact and say, okay, here's my clinic. Here's where I need to be involved, right?
And the great thing is that we also list all the services you provide. So you can actually really specify, like, for example, I don't do vestibular. It's just not a strength of mine. So I wouldn't list that in there. But, you know, if you do, then, like Craig Casper, his listing would be there, and it would say vestibular as well. And, you know, if you work with a certain manufacturer, you would list that in there. So it's very specific as well.
Yeah. So it's super awesome. Get listed there as well. There's so many resources for audiology bosses and independent private practice owners, right? And so use that. Head over to the AudBoss page, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know as far as the summit, upcoming summit, you know, where you can register for virtual option, and then also the directory as well. So everything is just on one spot. So just head over to the AudBoss website, and then you'll find everything.
And the workshops too. So we do workshops throughout the year, which are It's not even just, somebody just talking to you for an hour. It's very detailed. Our first one was so detailed, and it was 4 hours. They were all 4 hours long. We're going to change that format a little bit, because I had to sit here as well for 4 hours and record and then download the Zoom for 4 hours. It was just a mess. However, it was so well received. The very first one was on insurance billing and coding, and we had 4 experts in billing and coding. They have their own companies that do this, and they all got together and we developed a 4-hour class workshop where it was so detailed that you take the workshop, you can just turn around, go on your computer and start applying it right away. And so we had 6 of these, and we're probably going to do 6 again next year. So it'll be once a month until the summer, and then we take the rest of the year off to kind of go through AudBoss and then the AudBoss hangover until January. So yes, that's on our side, not on your side, of course.
Yes. So definitely, you guys, if you are just kind of watching this and you've always been wondering, what is this AudBoss, right? I honestly, okay, nobody paid me to say this, but like AudBoss is like the one conference that I will always sign up to go to. Everything else is kind of like, yeah, you can kind of get me there if you get me there. And Amit knows how to get me there to a conference. But I'm saying, like, the minute that they announce, where the next one is, like, I'm already signing up, because it doesn't matter where it is. Honestly, it doesn't matter where it is. Number one, I'm going to have fun. Number two, I'm going to learn a lot. Number three, it's going to help me grow my business, right? And then I get to hang out with the people that I would like to hang out with, right, in audiology. So, like, just don't even hesitate and get involved. I know everybody on the AudBoss page is like, yeah, we're already here, but it's for the other people, right? Or if you hear us, even because this is going out on my my business page as well. If you know why I'm not in the office, this is why, because I've already committed to this. Every year I will always commit to this. And it is the one conference that really pays back to me and gives me a return on my investment, right? That ROI is what we talk about as entrepreneurs. So it's something that you definitely want to be a part of. Yeah.
And I think I have some exciting news to share to everybody, which is the location of our 2023 summit. Which I'm happy to announce right here. It's actually so we're excited to see everybody there. It's going to be so much fun.
Awesome trick there. I was like, what? I can't hear you. I was like, your mic just died.
Trick? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Oh.
Okay, so you got to be there, and then they will announce it, and they usually do a Facebook Live too. So you'll find out at the same time that we are finding out live, and that's typically how it works. We'll see how it goes from there. But for sure, tune in to the AudBoss page while we're there. You are also going to probably get multiple notifications, because there's tons of us that are going to be there and posting some different things. So anything else that you want to cover about AudBoss before we head out?
No, very comprehensive. And I appreciate you letting these little people like myself get on here to talk about all the big things that are happening in the profession. And we're really excited. I think AudBoss is going to be something that's going to keep growing, but not growing numbers wise, just growing in strength. I think we'll become more and more solid. And one of our sponsors this year, I just did an interview with them this morning, and I think that's going to be a really, really neat relationship that we're going to be making. And I think AudBosses are really going to appreciate it. And that's just the way we're going to keep going forward. So we're really excited to see the group continue to get stronger and people utilizing the resources we've provided. April and I have been investing our own money in this for years. So it's just great to see that it's been worthwhile. So really appreciate, you're one of our biggest champions. So really appreciate you, Natalie, and Dr. Galloway. Thank you. And congratulations as well. Looking forward to seeing pictures of Finn.
Awesome. All right. And I don't say this enough, and I'm sure the AudBoss family feels the same, but thank you for being so forward thinking. Thank you for being collaborative and having that heart of service to be able to give back to the audiology community. So thank you, my dear friend, Dr. Amit Gosalia, and I will see you in a couple weeks. So excited.
See you soon.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.